Coming up on News Live at 6, Syracuse honors former head coach Jim Boeheim. What the city is doing for the Syracuse University legend.
Plus, the environmental impact of Micron, why some Clay residents are concerned about the plans for the factory.
And Congel announcing new infrastructure initiatives. What this means for residents in upstate New York. CitrusTV News Live at 6 starts right now.
Your campus news leader.
Welcome into News Live at 6. I'm Peyton Spellacy.
And I'm Richter. We'll get to those top stories in a moment, but we're going to begin with the snow that's still hitting parts of central New York at this hour. So let's get right to our Spencer Congel, who joins us live on the CitrusTV weather deck, and he's going to time it all out for us. Hey, Spencer.
Yeah, it was snowing a lot more earlier than it is right now. You might be able to see the snow just a little bit on camera. It's just snowing just a tiny bit. But earlier today, it was snowing quite a lot more than we were expecting. Now there's a little bit of blue sky out there. You might not really be able to see it, but it's kind of nice that that sun was peeking through here and there today. The road conditions are not that bad. You can see there's not really much going on. Pretty smooth, no ice, no nothing like that. Definitely not bad. What really is bad right now is the temperature and the cold. It's about 31 degrees right now, but the winds have just picked up and they're quite high. It feels closer to about 20 degrees right now, and these winds will be carrying throughout the night and throughout the day tomorrow. It's going to get down to about 21 degrees overnight and into tomorrow morning. It's going to be pretty cold, so you're going to want to have a nice jacket, maybe even a sweater, anything you can do to protect yourself from that wind and that cold. Now, the snow that we saw today is the last of the snow that we're going to see for the next few days, but while we still have it, I might as well enjoy it. I'll get a nice little snowball right here. It's maybe not perfect snowball snow, but it'll get the job done, and I'll throw it right at my photographer, John.
No, come on!
How's that, John? Nice and cold for you?
Oh, it stinks!
Yeah, well, you know what? I'll see you guys inside where it's nice and warm in a few minutes.
Okay, Spencer, thank you. The iSchool has once again been accredited by the American Library Association. This marks over 100 years of continuous accreditation, and the accreditation ensures that iSchool graduates have the appropriate training for their field. It forms the basis for Syracuse University's national rankings.
And the Moral Injury Project of Hendricks Chapel is hosting a screening of the documentary What I Want You to Know tonight. The film explores the topic of psychological impacts of war among troops who fought in Iraq and Afghanistan. Following the screening, there will be a Q&A session with an Army veteran. The screening begins in 1 hour at Hendricks Chapel.
And the city of Syracuse plans to honor Jim Boeheim. The legendary coach will have an honorary street sign placed near the dome at the corner of Irving Avenue and East Raynor Avenue. City Common Councilor Corey Williams brought the resolution forward, and Williams wants to honor Boeheim's success on the court as well as his charitable work in the city of Syracuse.
And the Special Collections Research Center is hosting an open house and special viewing of newly acquired material tomorrow in Byrd Library. The SCRC is home to SU's rare books, manuscripts, and other primary sources. Several staff members will be there to answer any questions and talk about the significance of the materials on display. Attendance is free and open to the public.
Now to the latest on Micron, and the journey continues to bring Micron to the town of Clay. Local residents continue to voice their concerns about the manufacturer's environmental impact. Citrus TV's Tyler O'Donnell joins us with the story tonight. Tyler, exactly what were their concerns?
Thanks so much, guys. For the residents of Clay, their concerns were mainly about conserving the area's natural beauty, but they're worried that Micron's factory could have impacts on their health as well.
$500,000 homes being built around my house, everywhere. My taxes are going to go through the roof. That's fine. That's fine. Water tower landing. What are they going to breathe? You're going to spend $500,000 on a house, walk outside, you can't breathe in the morning?
At Clay's town hall, citizens spoke directly to the Army Corps of Engineers about Micron's proposed factory in Clay. They're composing a statement about the plant's impact on central New York's ecosystem, and people packed the room to make sure their voices and concerns were heard regarding the potential dangers.
There's a lot of hazardous chemicals associated with semiconductor manufacturing. They're often shrouded in mystery. There are claims of confidentiality. We need to know what the chemicals are, how they're going to be monitored, what they're turning into.
Beyond just the environmental concerns, though, infrastructure was also a topic of discussion. One resident worries that the region's traffic will continue to get worse due to the plant.
So where am I going to go? You're going to build a helicopter for me too? All of us are going to be trapped and stuck in deadlock all the way.
Micron hasn't been silent regarding the environment, though, and before the event said that a planned rail system will help minimize their impact during construction.
It reduces traffic impacts on the roads, and it's just going to make things much more efficient when we have to bring in things for construction.
The Corps of Engineers is uncertain exactly when the statement regarding these concerns will be released. But one thing is clear, though. The march to bring Micron to Clay continues to push forward. Tyler O'Donnell, CitrusTV News.
And if you have any concerns about the environmental impact of Micron that you would like to contribute, you can contact the Army Corps of Engineers all the way up until April 4th. Reporting in Syracuse, I'm Tyler O'Donnell, CitrusTV News. Back to you at the desk.
Thanks so much, Tyler. And another development story, city officials have signed off to give Syracuse STEAM High School a bigger budget. The project budget has increased by 20% and won't impact taxes. The cost estimate is nearly $90 million, up by over $15 million than its original projection. Officials say the STEAM High School is expected to open in fall of 2025.
Well, if you're like me and Peyton and you're a foodie, well, you're in luck. The International Taste Festival is returning to Syracuse next month. The culinary experience will feature 30+ local vendors, each serving unique food from across the globe. The discounted tickets for adults are $10 each with free admission for children under 10. And you'll be able to grab some Asian creations with places like Building the Bridge, serving classic Korean dishes, or even take a bite of the Americas with Mamacita's Puerto Rican-style restaurant. You can also grab some grub from the Taste of Europe and Pan-American cuisine and Middle Eastern treats. The festival kicks off April 6th at the New York State Fairgrounds Center of Progress.
And Governor Kathy Hochul has announced a bridge replacement project. The state's plan is to replace the Sheps Corner Road Bridge in Manlius. The over 60-year-old bridge is just one of many bridges that need a replacement across the state. The $5 million project will increase vertical clearance by over 2 feet. It includes a safety guide rail, and a detour stretching 5.5 miles has been put in place as construction begins. Officials say the project is expected to be completed this fall.
And voters are headed to the polls in 5 Onondaga County villages yesterday. Local representatives and in some cases propositions were on the ballot. One election in Marcellus saw the village elect a new mayor, replacing him with a candidate who wasn't even on the ballot. John Murphy lost his re-election bid to Chad Clark, who owns a local tavern, who started a write-in campaign recently. So Murphy's loss comes after a mayor paused the sale of a local grocery store, postponing the owner's retirement.
And National Grid has announced a new plan to transform its energy delivery system across upstate New York. Called the Upstate Upgrade, the company plans to invest more than $4 billion to provide a smarter and cleaner energy grid. The company will build more than 1,000 miles of transmission lines and install new technologies that resolve congestion over the next 6 years. The plan includes more than 70 projects that National Grid says will generate thousands of jobs and more than $1 billion in additional economic growth.
And the Census Bureau has labeled Onondaga County as one of the top counties with the poorest families. Over 10% of residents in the area make less than $10,000 a year. While Syracuse ranks 65th on this list, its previously surveyed child poverty rate is nearly 50%. More information can be found on the Census Bureau's website.
Drivers in New York State are being reminded the move over law will be expanding next week. The law will require drivers to change lanes for all stopped or disabled vehicles on highways, not just for emergency vehicles or tow trucks. If a driver cannot move into an adjacent lane, they're required to slow down when nearing a stopped vehicle. Those who do not will be ticketed. The president of the Action Automotive Service says the law improves the safety of everyone on the road.
And New York lawmakers are renewing a push for universal free school meals, and they are urging Governor Hochul to close a gap in funding to cover food costs for over 300,000 students here in New York State. However, that funding would not be cheap. It would cost around $90 million each year. Currently, over 80% of students in New York State have access to free meals. This comes after $130 million in funding was included in last year's plan.
Still ahead on News Live at 6, bad news for TikTok fans. Find out the latest buzz the app is causing in Congress.
And Boeing is facing backlash after multiple safety issues on its planes. Find out how the FAA is responding.
Welcome to an excellent episode of Live from Studio B.
You're watching CitrusTV News live at 6 with Peyton Spellacy, Zach Richter, and Spencer Congel. Now, your campus news leader continues.
We are back for News Live at 6. Bad news for many here on campus who love the app TikTok. The app is facing a potential ban. This all started as members of Congress were concerned that the app has ties to the Chinese government and was a national security threat.
And now it is expected that the bill won't hit the Senate floor for a couple months. Yet Congress members continue to push the social media to be sold to another company. The House overwhelmingly passed the bill, and President Joe Biden has said he would sign it. The FBI, among other departments, will be briefing in the Senate today in an attempt to get that bill moved forward.
And today, President Biden added new rules to ensure car makers will sell more electric cars. This is one of the most significant climate change moves during Biden's term. The administration hopes to phase out most of the fossil fuel cars by 2032.
And get this, a record 1.2 million electric vehicles were sold last year, but still only make up a little under 8% of the total car sales in the nation. According to the White House, the administration is on track to continue its goals of net zero emissions by 2050.
Along with Biden's climate moves, he traveled to the battleground state of Arizona today and announced an $8.5 billion grant to Intel, which is a U.S. chip manufacturer.
Yeah, so Biden tweeted out his $240 billion total investment during his tenure as president, which is set to mobilize CHIPS funding as a whole. Now, this comes right after the Arizona presidential primary that was last night. Arizona was the state that helped propel Biden to victory back in 2020.
Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu met with Senate Republicans earlier today, but his request to meet with Democrats was actually turned down. Senate Majority Chuck Schumer rejected Netanyahu's request to speak with them at the caucus lunch this afternoon.
And this rejection comes after Schumer called for elections in Israel last week. Schumer's call for elections was met with criticism from Republicans and top Israeli officials. Despite tensions rising between President Biden and Netanyahu, Biden says he wasn't trying to push him out of power.
And back in December of 2021, a Boeing 737 MAX jet was descending on autopilot when all of a sudden it lost control. The plane did land safely, but now the FAA is calling for inspections of Boeing MAX planes. These inspections will look into the wiring flaws led to the loss of this control.
And now Boeing is saying tonight that it's not an immediate safety issue of flight. Experts disagree with Boeing, saying why even take the risk? The FAA giving airlines 3 years to inspect the wings of 207 737 MAX planes.
Still ahead tonight at 6, Chips Ahoy is changing things up. What to expect from the company.
And I'll have your full 5-day forecast and a look at the sunset times this spring. Stay with us.
Life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome. Prediabetes does. 1 in 3 adults has prediabetes, but with early diagnosis, prediabetes can be reversed. And you can change the outcome. Take the 1-minute prediabetes risk test today. Go to doihaveprediabetes.org.
Women are bad with money.
It's what the world's been saying for centuries. But now,
we've got something to say.
Save it. Save the old-fashioned advice, the empty excuses. It's all worthless, unlike us.
To our fellow females, it is time to save ourselves by saving our money.
Contributing to our futures, investing in our independence.
Until we're no longer 80%
more likely than men to live in poverty in retirement.
So again, we say to that, save it.
The falsehoods, the feelings of fault, then the funds.
Learn how to save for your retirement at wesaysaveit.org.
From the CitrusTV Weather Center, this is SU's most accurate weather forecast.
Welcome back to News Live at 6. If we take a look at our weather this week, Thursday and Friday, it's supposed to be pretty cloudy, but about the same temperature that we're seeing today. Thursday, though, it is going to be pretty windy, just like it is outside right now, if not even windier. So get some gloves, get a nice heavy jacket. You're going to want to look out for those temperatures. Saturday, it's going to be possibly rainy, maybe a little bit of snow mixed in there if we're seeing the low end of this 28 degrees. But after that, things are looking up just a little bit. Next week, we're going to see a little bit of sun on Sunday and Monday, some higher temperatures. The entirety of next week should be in and around the low 50 degree range, which will be a nice change from what we're seeing this week, but not quite as nice as what we were seeing before break. It'll still be pretty cloudy throughout the week, but at least a little bit warmer. We'll take the small victories. Now, let's take a look. You might have seen this before at our spring check-in, the lengths of the days and the sunsets that we've got coming up in the next few days. So March today, a sunset at 7:17, which is already very nice. Makes it feel nice like spring. And we've crossed that 12-hour mark. It's more day than night these days. 10 days later, we're adding about 10 minutes on to that of the sunset and 20 minutes to the length of the day. Now, we've got kind of an early sunset on April 8th for that solar eclipse. Maybe it's not necessarily a sunset, but make sure you're outside to see that. Hopefully we'll have no clouds outside so you can see the nice solar eclipse. Make sure you get your protective glasses and don't harm your eyes. But we will be hitting the 13-hour of day length mark on April 8th. 10 days later, we're getting almost to 8 o'clock for the sunset, which is pretty late, 13:30 for the day length. So we're moving quick through these days here, and we're getting these nice long days, which means it's springtime. That's all I've got for weather for now. Peyton and Zach, over to you.
Spencer, thanks so much. It's good to hear that we're getting longer days here in Syracuse.
Yeah.
The cold weather's getting to me a little bit. But now for nearly 10 years, Chips Ahoy Cookies has kept its popular recipe the same. But now the company is shaking things up, saying in a press release it's Blue packaged cookies will receive a new, quote, specially blended chocolate chips with higher cacao content and vanilla extract.
Chips Ahoy claims the move to the new recipe will create a richer flavor and better texture for the popular snack. And due to the company's new mixing process, the revamped cookies will hit store shelves nationwide next month. And I don't know, I just feel like I'm going to stick to the original packaging, I feel like. What about you?
I mean, Chips Ahoy is chronically in my pantry in Sacramento because my dad loves Chips Ahoy. They're always there. So I'm curious what he has to say about the new recipe, if it's better, or if he wants to keep it the same.
Well, I think we'll just have to try them ourselves
Maybe
too.
we will. Maybe we'll do a live little check-in on that. And from cookies to milk, a future New York law could restrict the sale of protein diet pills to children. The law, which is set to take effect next month, will prohibit retailers from selling minor protein powders, drinks, and foods that contain certain dietary supplements.
The Council for Responsible Nutrition filed a lawsuit earlier today against the law. They argue the state's vague description of the supplements can lead to an unnecessary ban on product sales. And from cookies and milk over to sports. Ben Spector, what's coming up in sports?
Well, guys, I love cookies, but coming up in sports, lots of lacrosse action in Central New York. Syracuse men's lax has a game in just around 40 minutes, and an Orange women's lacrosse player earned a weekly honor. All of that and more after these few messages.
Dad?
Just 1 minute, okay?
Hey, Bobo, do trees tell each other stories?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, why don't we go find out? Listen.
Do clouds take naps?
I couldn't tell you.
Can birds draw pictures?
I don't have an answer for that.
Dad, do stars visit their friends?
Look!
Here you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And now, your CitrusTV Sports Report.
Syracuse men's lacrosse can end a rough March stretch 3-0 tonight. Welcome into sports. I'm Ben Spector. On March 9th, the Cuse marched into Charlotte and took down then number 2 Johns Hopkins. That marked the first top 5 victory in the Gary Gay era. Then SU turned the corner and beat then number 20 Delaware in Chantilly. Now the Orange make the final turn. Syracuse matches up with number 4 Duke in the Dome at the top of the hour. That's 3 consecutive ranked matchups. Last year, the Blue Devils lost in the national championship to Notre Dame. Also in 2023, Duke took down Syracuse twice. And this is a Blue Devils side that only lost midfielder Garrett Ledman and defender Wilson Stevenson to graduation. Those are 2 starters from last year's side. So Syracuse is riding high, though. After an overtime loss to Army in late February, the Cuse ripped 3 straight. But Duke has won 4 consecutive games. Both win streaks are on the line tonight. Face-off between 2 of the ACC's best in Brennan O'Neill and Joey Spallina is at 7 in the Dome. And follow at @the_Sam Corcoran for complete coverage of that Till. From the men's side to the women's side, defender Hallie Simpkins earned a weekly honor today. The grad student is the IWLCA Defensive Player of the Week. In Syracuse's 20-5 victory over then number 9 North Carolina earlier this week, Simpkins scooped up 4 ground balls that tied a career high and caused a game-high 6 turnovers. The defender has been on a tear this season. Simpkins has started every game and has already caused a new career-high 10 takeaways this year. The Centerport, New York native leads a defense that has only given up 21 goals over the last 3 games. Plus, this is Simpkins' first IWLCA award of her career. Over to the hardwood, Deaja Fair has earned another honor. After the ACC announced that the guard was on the all-conference first team for the 2nd consecutive season, the Associated Press gave Fair 3rd-team All-American honors. The grad student led Syracuse in scoring with 22 points per game and is 5th in Division I women's college basketball history in career points. This season, Fair became the fastest player in Syracuse history to reach 1,000 points in orange, just 50 games. Fair can continue to lead the charge in the NCAA tournament this Saturday. Syracuse plays the winner of Arizona and Auburn at 3:30. And in Major League Baseball, yesterday was opening day. You might be thinking, it's a little too early to be saying that, and that's true. Spring training is wrapping up, but the Dodgers and the Padres matched up in Seoul, South Korea as a part of MLB's World Tour. Los Angeles took down San Diego 5-2, and new Dodgers Shohei Ohtani racked up 2 hits and an RBI in the game.
Well, Ben, I'm curious, how many brackets is a sports guy like you in for the NCAA tournament, and who do you have?
So a lot of people fill out multiple brackets. I'm a 1 bracket person. I got UConn winning it this year, back-to-back for the first time since 2006, 2007, when Florida did it. I just think UConn's the best team in the country, but look out for Northwestern, the Wildcats.
Yeah, do you think there are going to be any big upsets this year?
There could be a lot. I've heard rumblings about Western Kentucky over Marquette, a 15-2. I've heard rumblings of Charleston over Alabama. Anything could happen. It's March and it's madness.
Okay, Ben, thanks so much as always. Well, we got your Waker weather still ahead, and the 90s are back. We'll be right back.
Last week, Brandon met a girl on a dating app. One day after work, he finally found the courage to ask her out. No answer. He started to panic. Was he being too pushy? Maybe it was too...
Hey, sorry I didn't respond. I was driving. I would love to go on a date. How does tonight sound?
Brandon tried to play it cool, but inside he knew. A girl so smart, so responsible. She must be a keeper.
Now, when you wake up tomorrow, things are going to be just about as cold as they're going to be over this evening. Around 22 degrees in the morning. Nothing too crazy. We'll get up to about 30-something degrees, and the winds will be pretty high today. We're going to be seeing, tomorrow, we're going to be seeing quite a lot of wind, so make sure you've got a nice jacket and some gloves on because you're going to want to be definitely protected from that.
Well, Spencer, thanks so much. In case you haven't heard, the 90s are back and they're in full force. Stanley is releasing a brand new neon collection of their iconic tumblers.
Yeah, take a look at this. The collection features collection colors like electric pink, and they got neon colors too. They got neon green, neon orange, and neon yellow. You see it all right there on your screen.
Yeah, so I think that neon colors are a little bit more 80s to me. And I'm also not on the Stanley train quite yet. I'm partisan to my Hydro Flask. What do we have here?
This is a nice blue Stanley water bottle that my mom got for me for Christmas. It's very nice. My favorite thing was I don't like the screw tops because I like to be able to do it with one hand. So this one, you got a nice little button. But I do like the blue though. I don't know if I'd go for those neon colors.
I was gonna say, I could see the neon green with we have our Citrus logos on there.
That's right.
Pretty good stuff. Love that. Well, that's all we have. That's all the time we have for you this Wednesday night for News Live at 6.
And don't forget, you can follow us on X and Instagram at CitrusTV News. Now for the entire CitrusTV News team, I'm Zach Richter.
And I'm Peyton Spellacy. Have a great night, Syracuse.